Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous, fabulous TV show. Tonya.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. I am so excited because I have Teresa back. I know y'all were just like, oh, last time, and you were just like blown away like I am. Every time I have her on my show, if I talk to her on the phone, do y'all reach out and talk to people? Y'all should. It was so much fun. And you get to learn how to collaborate together. So how you doing today, Teresa?
I'm awesome. Well, a little bit under the weather, but otherwise awesome. My voice is a bit off, so I'm going to apologize for that up front.
Well, who doesn't have allergies, especially this time of year?
Yeah, well, and up in Canada, it's flu season, so what are you going to do, right?
Exactly. Crazy Canadians, you. So,
and I want our bad weather too.
I want to thank everyone for joining us again today. We always have fun on my show. It's really about giving you insights to things that you might go, I had never thought about that before. Because the people that I know not only are experts in their field, but are just dang fabulous. So that's why I bring them on my fabulous TV show. And today I want to talk a little bit about connections, because a lot of people really don't understand how important it is to connect to not only fabulous people, but people that you resonate with. So if you ever hear somebody on a show, if you go on, hear a radio show, an internet show, a TV show, whatever you see, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that person. Are you following them on social media? Are you checking out their website? They all have websites, get onto their newsletters. They always give away something fabulous in their newsletters. And then you can also reach out and say hello. Send them an email. Do you mind if we chat a minute? Can we connect? And then let them know a little bit who you are so they understand why you're connecting. Because if the busier they are, the bigger they are, the busier. And we got to have understanding of why you want to connect. But it is so fabulous when you do, because you open up a whole new grouping of people that just blows your mind. Because the more you resonate with the people that you connect with, the more your business will explode, the more your careers will advance, the more you'll be happier, because you aren't stuck with people that you're like, ugh, I have to go talk to Bob again, or John, or Susie, So really reach out and talk to the people that you resonate with and buy into their products and services. And why do I say that? Because if you're resonating with them and they're an expert in something you need help with, who better, right? So it is about going further with people that you're like, I love this person, because you're going to get more out of it and you're going to have a lot better results when you connect. I've had people spend a lot of money with people and they never heard them talk. They never heard them say a word. And then they're like, oh gosh, I wish I had bought into that, because they're just not my type of person. I'm like, well, hello, listen to people before you get to know them. So I am so excited about Teresa being here today. And she'll explain how to say her name properly. DeGrosbois. It's like trying to spell my name. People are like, what? That doesn't sound right. And so she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. So Teresa, tell us a little bit about yourself and how to pronounce your name right.
Yeah, it is DeGrosbois. It's a French-Canadian name, so it gives a lot of people challenges. So I teach influence, specifically how to create word-of-mouth epidemics. So I love what you were just saying, and I'm French-Canadian in heritage, so I talk with my hands. So you might see that on here. I love what you were saying, though, about really connecting with people that you deeply admire, because in the whole realm of influence, it's one of the fundamental principles I tell, which is be authentic, right? And if you're not connecting with people that you deeply love and deeply admire, you're in a situation where your inner voice is saying something different than your outer voice. My technical term for that is you're going to land smarmy. And it just doesn't work in the realm of becoming influential and meeting influential people. You got to pick who you play with. Absolutely.
And don't you find too that some people, they follow somebody and they start buying into people's program because they're impressed with who they are, but their whole mindset and their whole way of approaching the business is completely different than the person who's buying in, and then it doesn't ever work.
Yeah. And a lot of times what happens when we meet really influential people, it's actually one of the biggest mistakes that I see people have is they get into this mindset of, this is my one chance, oh my God, it's Jack Canfield. Oh my God, it's Marcy Shimoff or whatever, right? And their inner dialogue is saying, I need something from this person. And their outer conversation is, it's so nice to meet you. And that disconnect is what's landing inauthentic. It's the same way when the neighbor rushes over and asks to borrow the lawnmower when they've just met you. When you do that with influential people, it does land smarmy, and it's one of the biggest mistakes people make in trying to connect with other influencers and become influential themselves.
So have you always been kind of, an influencer and a seeker out of influencing people?
I would say yes, and I didn't know it. Like a lot of people, I really do believe everybody has something that they intuitively get and they're brilliant at. And usually we're like fish in water. We don't get what water is because it's just the norm for us, right? And it was funny because, I had spent a long career, over 20 years in the oil and gas industry, leading big task forces, creating big change initiatives, doing these government industry initiatives to look at changing the way things are done. And I was actually eating, living, and breathing the influence game. But I didn't love what I was doing because I wasn't super passionate about helping the oil and gas industry be more successful. I didn't mind it because I was sort of influencing them to better ideals, but I didn't love it. And it wasn't until I had, what I now affectionately call my really bad year. And I can laugh because I know, like a lot of us, sometimes the worst things that happen to us end up being the best things that ever happened to us. But I remember in the space of the first half of that year, I had in about 6 months, my father had passed away, my business had failed, my marriage had ended, and I lost my health. Mm. And I remember actually, I'm sitting one night in the bathroom of my post-marriage breakup condo, bawling my eyes out. I'm surrounded by tools because this bathroom's going to be my latest renovation project. I'm a renovator. And the only thing I can think of is it's me that needs renovating. Because I'm looking back over my life and this, what everyone else would think is a highly successful career in the oil and gas industry. And I can't honestly point to the last time I can remember that I was really happy and really on fire and really lit up on my life.
Yeah. And
it was one of those great light bulb moments, where I just made the decision, okay, I'm going to be my next project. And I started doing every self-help course I could. I went back, I did a whole certificate in mediation. I got a lot more serious about my diet and my meditation. And pardon me, I got to find the mute button on this system. Within the space of a couple of years, I had quit my job, founded a charity to build schools in Africa, take 3 of the children's books that I always had written. I love writing children's stories for my kids. It's just been a hobby my whole life. And I had published those 3 kids' books, quickly put all 3 on the bestseller list to raise money for my charity. And that had 2 things happen. The first was that I quickly realized I didn't actually like being a children's author. I love writing little stories, but going around to schools and doing kids programs with kids wasn't really turning my crank. And the second thing I realized was that I had people coming at me in droves saying, Teresa, 3 bestsellers in 8 months. How the heck did you do that? And I was coaching all these people that were really out to make a difference in the world, really out to create change in the world. And I was loving that, but I was making no money at it. Yeah. And I was sitting having tea with my best friend one day. Actually, Shonda Perrin, who's also a professional speaker. I'm not sure if you've had her on your show yet, but you need to. And Sean just sits me down like only Sean can and says, honey, if the universe is sending you a flood of something, maybe you should pay attention. And it was another one of those big light bulb moments, because I realized in that moment that I was like the fish in water who didn't know what water was, that I was very passionate about showing people how to influence change and create change around what they're doing and create more energy around what they teach and what they stand for in the world. So I rebranded myself overnight, and I've never looked back. I now feel totally congruent and totally lit up by what I'm doing. And sometimes you just need to lean into your life to be able to see what that is.
I love that. And I think most people at some point in their life, they have those kind of aha moments of who we are and what we should be doing. And I know I had cancer when I was 29, so we're coming on 18 years now.
Oh, yay.
And I was like, cancer? I'm 29. Why do I have cancer? But it was probably one of the best things that could have happened, which is always a weird thing to say. People are like, what? But I had a really, really rough childhood, and I felt very isolated, and I felt like I was alone. And when I had cancer, suddenly my whole family was rallying, and my father, who had never been in the picture, was right there with my stepmother, and people were like, how can I help? And I was like, oh my gosh, all these people love me. And it was that point of, what am I doing with myself? I'm stuck in this victim mentality, and it's not doing me any justice. It's not helping me at all, to stay there. And I can't say that I immediately switched mindset. It was kind of a slow progression, but I think at that point it started, And I think a lot of people just have to realize they just have to start. Sometimes it takes a little bit of effort.
I know, it's so true. It's not that you would wish that really horrific thing on anyone.
Right.
But it's going through those really tough periods in life. What we learn about ourselves can be so exquisite. And the journey that you go through and the person you become on the other side of that journey can be such a gift.
Well, and you
that
can
it's
also
so worth
find,
it to have gone through it.
And you realize what the gift of others too, right? It's not just yourself, but how do you allow people to actually, and for women, I think this is the hardest thing, is allow people to help you, And I think that's kind of the influence game. I've always been really good at it, leveraging, and, because to me, it's just win-win. How can we both win? And I'd often see people, and it's always about how they're going to win.
Yeah. Yeah, you play the influence game so exquisitely, Tonya, because, one of the things, and I know everyone knows this, right? We got to give respect to get respect. Well, influence is the same. You got to give influence to get influence.
Yeah.
And I can always tell someone who's like me, who sort of gets it intuitively and doesn't even need to be taught it. I know you're one of those people, because all day long, all you're doing is highlighting other people and how great they are. You're interviewing people on your shows. You're mentioning them in all your channels, on your social media and in your newsletters. You're connecting people. Those are all the kinds of traits that influencers tend to do quite naturally, because people who get it, it's kind of like riding a bike. When you get it, you can't ever imagine that you ever thought it was hard.
Yeah.
But when you just gift influence out to others, it comes back to you exponentially. The more influence you give, the more you get. What people don't realize is that each and every one of us is a billionaire in influence. And we can hoard it and keep it in the bank, and it does us no good. Or we can go and invest it, and it will pay dividends in the exponential level. So invest the influence you have, and it'll come back to you like a nuclear explosion.
I love that. There's been things that have happened, I'm sure it's done that for you, where, I don't go in with, okay, what am I going to get out of this? This is everything that's going to happen from this one connection. I just go in and, how can we collaborate? How can we all move together in a unison manner? And then how can I really help you? And then amazing things happen that I could never pay for, that I could never, in a million years think that would happen. And I think that's that part of it, right?
Yeah. It's almost like, I'm a Canadian, so I love to use hockey analogies, right? But when you see really good hockey players, You never see them going, if I pass you the puck, are you going to give it right back to me? I want to make sure before I pass you the puck that the puck is coming back to me. Let's create a joint venture agreement around that, and let's sign a legal contract. And like, people get so hung up about like, who do I help? And there's better be a tit for tat and an agreement there. And people who are masterful at influence simply stand in the knowing that if they keep passing the puck, the game will be won and they will be holding up the Stanley Cup, and it doesn't matter who scores any individual goal. In fact, the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, was the greatest hockey player of all time because he was leader in assists, not in goals. He passed the puck constantly and he set people up constantly, and the entire industry held him up as an icon and a leader because of it. The influential people that are dominant in their industry are those that are constantly feeding the influence of others. They don't worry about their own influence because they trust that it's all coming back to them.
Right. Do you find that people too, they don't like to focus on themselves? So you get this I find people all the time, they're like, oh, it's about my business, it's about my business. I'm like, it's about you and who you are. I don't care about your business until I care about you, right?
Yeah. And, it's so true. You can't make yourself famous, I mean, unless you're the guy who wants to strip naked in the Portland airport to protest security, you can have your 15 minutes of fame. And I would draw a distinction. There's a distinction between fame and influence. Fame is like Kim Kardashian, Britney Spears. Influence is like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, right? Yeah. So fame is a lot of people know you. Influence is a lot of people know, like, and trust you. When you speak, they take action.
I love it.
And so it's so important to realize that when you're masterful at influence, you don't need to big yourself up because you will have helped so many people. Other people will be singing your praises and bigging you up all over the place. Here's the number one tip, okay? If your volume's turned down or you're checking your email while you're listening to this, turn it up, stop checking your email and listen to this. Your social media is not to sell you. Your social media is the equivalent of the apple pie or the lasagna that you're going to take to the neighbor when you want to meet the neighbor. It's your ability to gift influence to other people. That's why to an influencer, their reach is so important, their list, their TV show, whatever. I watch you, Tonya. You're a master at this. You gift influence all over the place. And I would come on your show any day of the week because it's so authentic for me to say, I love what you do and I love what you stand for, because I know we share the same passion in growing thought leaders and helping people who are out to change the world get heard and get more stages to speak on. Yeah. So it's so easy and congruent for me to say, oh, guys, go check out Tonya Hofmann. If I was to be using my own list and my own social media and my own programs to sell me, that's like the equivalent of being at a networking event and standing up on a chair going tink, tink, tink on my glass and saying, everybody come and look at me. I'm so great. Oh my God, you can't believe how brilliant I am. You should come and listen to me. It's just that lands smarmy. It lands desperate, actually. And so you'll see that people who are masters at this game, it's not that we might not occasionally mention, I have an event here or a show here. If you want to come, you're more than welcome. Right. But we don't spend the bulk of our efforts selling ourselves. Your reach, your social media is your ability to build deep relationships with other influential people that you authentically admire. That's what it's for. It's not to sell you.
Yes. And, it's such a hard concept for people to get. But, and I encourage everybody out there, just try it, right? What is it going to hurt to talk about somebody else in a positive way, to help somebody else? And what I also love doing is seeing who collects around them. So a lot of times I'll go to somebody's event or conference where they're the main stage, they're the main reason people come, just to see who gravitates to them, because everyone has a different following. And so you can see what kind of actual influence that they have by who shows up.
Very true.
Is it mostly men, women? Is it mixed? Is it diverse? Or is it one type of person? It gives you a a huge opportunity when you see who people attract. And a lot of times people never think about that part of it. And to me, it's insightful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I've been on your event, and the people, the great questions that they have, you can just feel that they're absorbing, and that they're thoughtful in their approach and in their questions and answers. You know, you just feel this good vibration, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for saying that. I deeply appreciate it. You know,
Yeah.
I have a great 30-day challenge that your folks can do. Do you want me to give you the 30-day challenge?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to suggest. For the next 30 days, go out and gift influence to someone else once a day. So you can shout them out on your social media and say how much you love their work. You could mention them in your newsletter. You could write about them in your blog. You could share their blog on your social media. You can connect them with other influential people and big them up to other influential people. But for the next 30 days, do 30 acts of giving influence to someone else and watch where your influence is at in 30 days. I think you'll find a marked difference in where your influence level is at and the amount of influence coming back to you if you do this exercise. And I'm guessing you have super achievers in your crowd, don't you? Really high overachievers? Okay. So for your high overachievers, I'm talking to you, and you know who you are. Feel free to put your hand up right now. You guys are going to do it 100 times. And watch where your influence level is in 30 days. Feel free to email me and let me know, because I love the emails I get after 30 days of people saying, holy cow, I wouldn't have believed it. So have fun with that.
I've seen one lady did a collage of people's pictures, you know, all kinds of people that she knew and everything. And to me, a lot of times when people do things, you know, it just kind of blows past me. But I found myself searching for my face, you know, am I in there? You know? And where am I? There I am. You know, it was so exciting. And I was like, am I 10? But it's still that core value that we want to see ourselves. We love it when people talk about us. You know, we all have that human instinct to have people pat us on the back and say we're doing a good job or that they like us, you know. So if you did that just for somebody, wow, it really changed.
It works whether you're in the entrepreneurial world or the corporate world. You know, for people in the corporate world, you can be gifting influence to your coworkers, to your leaders, to your senior leaders, to other people in your industry. It doesn't matter. It works in every realm.
I do a lot of email intros, and I love that, right? I think I've done several for you, and it's fun to connect people together. And sometimes I have a specific, you need to know this person for this reason, but a lot of times it's just that gut feeling. You're like, you just need to know each other. And how fun is that to give influence by connecting fabulous people together, you know?
Yeah.
What is your favorite way of giving influence? Is it through social media?
Actually, my very favorite is finding two people I authentically admire that I think will really be able to help each other and big them up to each other and get them really excited about working together. I think that's one of the nicest things you do, because when you can connect powerhouses and get them to each show up in their Sunday best clothing, really excited about the connection, you know, then miracles do happen inside of that realm. And it's really touching. I get emails back from people 4 or 5 months later saying, thank you so much for making that connection for me, because you won't believe what we've created now and the stuff we're doing together. And the cool thing is when you do that, the first thing those two people do is they both talk about how much they love you. And it really does grow your influence when that happens. I think that one's my very favorite to do.
You know, it just giggles me. Giggles me, is that even a word? But it makes
it is now.
Right?
Tonya Hofmann said it on her show. It's a word.
One of the things that I really love is when I can see, and I think this is what has a lot of people have a hard time with it. I can see when there's an opportunity for somebody, and they usually can't see it themselves. The other day, I was doing kind of a virtual event, and there happened to be 6 people on the call that I personally knew were kind of in the veterans world, that helped a lot of American vets. And I'm like, by the way, do y'all all know each other? Because for some reason, I always assume that everyone I know, everybody else knows. And so I just stopped for a moment, stopped the recording and everything, and I said, by the way, y'all all need to know each other. And so we created a veterans virtual summit through the Public Speakers Association.
Wow.
So that they could all utilize each other's incredible messages and help so many people, So sometimes you just got to stop and go, wait a moment, what a great opportunity.
I love it. Yeah.
Now, I know you're giving away something amazing today. Like all of our guests, they give something and we're like, yay, something for free. So what is that besides your fabulous advice?
Well, I have a 4-week program, and it's a really nice complement to the 30-day challenge I give you, which is 4 weeks of exercises you can do that helps you really understand how to step into the influence game. And in that, we talk a little bit more about kind of the etiquette of how you do things. And we give you examples of how to do some of the different exercises of gifting influence. They're real short, 2-minute videos. You just quickly watch them in the morning and then go do the exercise. And it's meant to really help you with that 30-day challenge of gifting influence 30 times and really stepping into the influence realm and understanding how to really masterfully walk that path. So that's just a free program. You can sign up for it. It's on my website at wildfireacademy.com. You can see it right there off the homepage. So it's just the usual spelling of wildfire and the usual spelling of academy.com. And it's the 4-week program right on the homepage.
Oh my gosh. So everybody jump into that. And even I know there's somebody listening, they're like, I don't think I'm ready. Please stop trying to be ready for things, start influencing, anybody that you can, because that's the thing. That's what I see a lot of people. They wait. They're like, oh, I don't know the right people yet. Well, you know me, Teresa now. I mean, what else do you need to know?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. And that's what those exercises are to help you realize, is that you do hold influence, and just start giving away whatever you have. Whatever you have, give it away. Because the minute you give it away, it's like investing it. It becomes something that grows interest and you become more influential with it.
And I think I remember it was about 2007 when I saw a huge conference coming in with Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson and some really amazing speakers. And I just reached out to the guy who was putting on the event. I'm like, how can I help you? And he was blown away. I guess no one has ever said that to him. And I was not only able to be a full sponsor, but even though back then I was like shaking in my boots, but I actually was on a small stage inside that huge conference. And it was all from just reaching out and saying hello. So I didn't think I had influence back then, but I did. So a lot of times we just don't see what we even have. So make sure you take advantage of Teresa's offer. If you haven't been to my website yet, go to publicspeakersassociation.com and find out all about becoming a speaker. We help you if you haven't, like, I'm not a speaker yet. You really are. You just don't know it yet. You haven't classified yourself. So we walk you through how to do that. If you're already a speaker, we connect you to fabulous people like Teresa. But even more, it's about getting your message out there, getting your message heard. And we love doing that for each other. And if you're a big speaker, even better, because we constantly are sending out speaking opportunities and creating them. So we love to talk to you a little bit more. So publicspeakersassociation.com. We have our upcoming conference in June 14th through the 17th. It's going to be in San Antonio, Texas. You can find out all about it at publicspeakersconference.com. So thank you, Teresa, for being on today. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. And I can't wait to see everyone in Texas either. It was great to be here, and I'll look forward to meeting everyone in person.
I know, it's going to be so much fun. So everyone come and have some margaritas with us. We'll have so much fun and just enjoy. So thank you for coming on our show today, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye, Teresa.
Thanks for having me, Tonya.